Hey everyone, welcome to week 6. I will be thinking of you this week as you work on your assessment matrix and your uh, literacy circles, as well as you're working on your group PLC in the next week or two. So I'm just going to do a quick video to help hopefully provide further instructions for anybody who needs it. So again, week 5, you are completing the assessment matrix. That is what is due this week on the 14th. And just let me make sure I have that date right. So week 5, week 6, assessment matrix. Yep, on the 15th, you will turn that in. And in week 5, you'll see several people who have used the template. But if you look in week 6, you will also see some examples of matrix from past classes that you can take a look at as an example if you're struggling with how to complete that. So that is your first assignment that's due this week. And then you also have your lit circle for chapter 5. It's up to your PLC group how you decide to share that information. And then you're going to be reading chapters 6 and 7 for next week. Also want to point out you're going to be working on rubrics for week 7. There's resources here, so there's examples of grade level Common Core rubrics. So for those of you that are doing the reading, literacy rubric from the Common Core, or if you're in English language arts for secondary, these would be helpful. You might even be able to, if you're in social studies, find a rubric that fits. There's also some student examples of rubrics here. There's a template to use. Here's another copy of the Bloom's taxonomy and COSTA's levels. Remember, you're going to want to think about as you're designing your rubric to address multiple levels of thinking. And then, and so also going back to the Google Drive in week 7, as you think about working on your rubrics, again, you're doing this for week 7 as a group. So you're going to take your standard, you're going to think about what you would want them to do as a summative assessment. I would highly recommend that you create a checklist, a student checklist first, kind of lining out what you want the students to do in the assessment, and then take that and turn it into a rubric. And so I've provided lots of examples from previous classes to look at. There's elementary examples as well as secondary examples. And so you should have at least 3 criteria, 2 if they're well written. The hardest part about creating rubrics is to actually differentiate between each level. So you have to really think about, what does a level 1 look like? What is a level 2? What is a level 3? Or 0, 1, 2, however you decide to number that. A couple things to remember. You're going to want to make sure to incorporate your standard here at the beginning so I can make sure I can tell if it aligns. This criteria is going to come straight from your learning targets. These should be just very similar shortened versions of your learning targets. And again, the hardest part is going to be to figure out the different levels and what you would see for each level. I would recommend that you start with, okay, meets expectations. So generally your criteria will be stated in a way that kind of fits for this column, and then you're going to have to, okay, what would it look like if they were missing some pieces, and what would it look like if they went above what I would expect for my students at this time. So again, your group's going to create one. This is going to be most difficult for the social studies or for the sassy teens, but for the rest of you, you should be able to find an example that's similar and work from that. For the sassy teens, you're going to have to make a decision here. So you can all work on these together as a group and do one. You can work individually on your own content area and create one, and then share it with your group and work together to help critique these and help each other, or you can just submit one for the whole group. So I'm going to leave that up to you, just reminding you that you also have to create an individual one. So you could technically double dip for this assignment and do both your group and your individual one. So that's for the sassy teens who each have a different or multiple content areas between the group. Those are due on Canvas in week 7, and you will see them here on the 23rd. Additionally, on the 23rd, you have your next Lit Circle due for chapter 6 and 7. 7's very short. And then you also have a reflection, your third reflective practitioner assignment. And this is just a reflection, no more than 3 pages, double spaced. You're going to reflect on these questions and just talk about, you know, what your experience has been. What do you think about the backwards design, using standards-based planning to design a lesson? You can see here I've created a rubric just modeling this to score your reflective practitioner assignment this time. So that one, remember, these are worth quite a bit of points. So make sure you spend adequate amount of time reflecting on the prompts, but also providing evidence. So like give examples of how you can do that in an assessment that you planned. So referencing the text, referencing discussions we've had in class, referencing discussions you've had in your PLC groups. So that's it for week 6 and 7. I'm hoping to be back in person by week 8. And so additionally, you will find here in our Canvas shell, you will see that I have posted the week 6 and 7 to-do lists. I will post those under week 6 and 7. So hopefully you have a good couple weeks, and I will look forward to seeing you when I get back.